The fortune teller. The morning I decided to visit Madame Zara, Osasai was buzzing with its usual rhythm, mango sellers haggling, schoolchildren dashing through the streets, and motorcycles honking as they weaved past sluggish cars. I felt at home in this chaos. Osasai was my town, my beat, my story to tell. I had always taken pride in my work as an investigative journalist. My byline had appeared above political exposés, corruption scandals, and heartfelt profiles of everyday people. Nothing scared me, at least, that's what I thought as I followed my editor's assignment that day. Go see Madame Zara, my boss had instructed. She's famous around here. Write a light piece, a human interest story. That was the plan. Something harmless, something to fill a column. But stepping into Zara's shop changed everything. The scent hit me first, a mixture of burning incense and dried herbs. Thick curtains let in only slivers of light that played across wooden masks and beads strung together like tiny bones. And then there was Zara. "Come in, child," she said, voice melodic and low, like it had rolled up from deep within the walls themselves. I hesitated, feeling an unfamiliar prickling on my skin. "You have questions," she added. I forced a smile and sat across from her at a small wooden table. A deck of tarot cards, worn at the edges, waited between us. "You could say that," I replied, fishing my recorder out of my pocket. Zara didn't look at my recorder. Her dark eyes held me like a magnet. "You did not come for a story," she murmured as she began to shuffle. That was when my skepticism began to crack, just a bit. The reading was slow and deliberate. Every card that fell felt like an unfolding chapter one hadn't agreed to read. First, the Fool, a figure stepping blindly toward an unknown horizon. "You stand at a threshold," Zara whispered. The Moon, its face doubled and darkened. "There are illusions all around you," she warned. And then the tower, crumbling, shattered. Finally, she paused before the last card and frowned, fingers trembling. I leaned closer, my breath caught in my throat. And there it was, Death, a skeletal rider on a white horse. "You will face a tragedy," Zara said softly. "Something is closing in." A chill shot through me. Is this a joke? I managed, trying to sound brave. Zara's face was unreadable. "Your path is tangled with shadows. Be careful, Adiz." I had never told her my full name. That was the first time my hands truly trembled. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in my apartment felt magnified, the drip of the bathroom faucet, the hum of my refrigerator, the rustling of dry leaves outside my window. And then I heard the footsteps. They paused at my door and disappeared. I checked. No one was there. After that, everything shifted. Every morning I woke feeling like I hadn't slept at all, my body heavy, my thoughts muddled. And the dreams. Dreams where I ran through a forest with bleeding trees. Dreams where my reflection in the bathroom mirror grinned at me even when my face was blank. Dreams where I heard my name whispered in a voice I couldn't place, as if the wind itself was calling me. The newsroom felt colder too. "Watch your back," a coworker joked one morning. Another muttered as he passed my desk, "Some debts must be paid." I stared after him, heart thumping, wondering who had put him up to that. And every time I walked home, I had the eerie sensation that someone was just one step behind me, too close for comfort, yet always out of sight when I turned around. I told myself I was losing my mind. But I couldn't let it go. I decided to dig into Zara's story, the way I would with any lead. People in Osasai spoke of her with hushed voices. A griot outside the town square told me that years ago, Zara had been a priestess who had delved too far into realms most people dared not touch. She read the chief's fortune once, he said, lips trembling. Pulled the death card. That night, his house burned to the ground. That story chilled me deeper than I liked to admit. And so I searched for Zara herself, determined to confront her. When I returned to her shop, my hands were slick with sweat. The door creaked as I pushed it open, my eyes straining to adjust to the gloom. Zara was there, seated as if she'd been waiting. "You have returned," she greeted me without surprise. "You told me someone is closing in," I began, voice trembling despite my best effort to sound strong. "You need to explain what you did to me." Her face softened. "What I did was only read what was already written," she replied. "Your path has always led you here." That was the most terrifying thing she could have said. "You mean there's nothing I can do?" "There is one path," she said slowly. "But it will not be easy." That was when I met Emeka. Emeka was an old friend, someone I trusted, a photographer with a sharp eye and a sharper sense of humor. When I told him what had been happening, the cards, the whispers, my mounting fear, he listened carefully, brow furrowed. "You don't believe in this stuff," he finally said. "I don't," I replied. "But this stuff believes in me." He offered to come with me to Zara's shop that night. "Whatever this is," he told me, "you won't face it alone." That evening, Zara was waiting. She didn't look surprised to see Emeka, as if she had read his face in her cards too. "You seek a ritual," she said to me. I nodded, my heart thudding. "You must face your own fears," she told me. "Your own shadow." And I agreed before I could change my mind. Night had fully fallen by the time we followed Zara into the forest outside Osasai. The path was dark, lit only by the candle she carried. Trees creaked overhead, their gnarled branches trembling like they held some terrible secret. I felt Emeka's reassuring presence just behind me, but the forest felt alive, whispering, watching, testing me. Finally we stopped in a small clearing. Zara set her candle down in the center of a circle carved into the forest floor. Symbols I didn't recognize had been etched into the dirt. "Step inside," she instructed. And so I did. The ritual began with Zara's chant, words that weren't words, rising and falling like the tide. My hands trembled as I stood in the center of the circle, heart racing faster than my thoughts could follow. And then my world began to spin. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer in the forest. I was back in my childhood home. Except the house was empty, every room shrouded in gloom. And there, waiting in the hallway mirror, was a version of myself I hardly recognized. Pale, hollow-eyed, her lips twisted into a knowing smile. "You can't hide," my reflection whispered. And I felt my heart clench. The walls began to shift, pressing inward as the house started to collapse. Every fear I had ever carried, every insecurity and regret, was there with me. And I realized what Zara meant. I had to face myself. I forced myself to breathe. This wasn't real. I wasn't trapped. And my future wasn't fixed. That thought was a light in the dark. And then I pushed. When I woke, I was on my knees in the forest. The ritual circle was fading into the forest floor, and Zara and Emeka were standing nearby, their faces painted with relief. "You survived," Zara told me softly. The next morning, Osasai felt different. Lighter. And Zara was gone, vanished as if she had been a ghost all along. But on her empty shop counter, I found a single note tucked into a wooden bowl of beads. "Some futures must be earned." I still hear whispers sometimes. And on some nights, my dreams take me back to that forest. But they no longer frighten me. Because I faced what was in the dark, and I chose my path. And that, I know now, is what really matters. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more jaw-dropping real-life stories.